General Hospital spoilers tease that one of the latest shocks to shake the foundations of Port Charles is the moment Lulu finally follows the trail of clues to find Camilla in San Francisco, the WOMA. N, who has been referred to as Joe's biological mother. Lulu and Camilla's unannounced encounter is not only the final stop on their quest for the truth, but also the beginning of an unprecedented chain of events. Lulu doesn't just come with suspicions, she comes with evidence. The determination and intuition of someone who has been deeply hurt but never given up on what's right. Camilla is initially stunned, confused, and even a little evasive when she sees Lulu. But that evasiveness can't obscure the truth that's slowly emerging. Lulu pressed him calmly but firmly, laying out the dates, places, and information she had gleaned from Martin, from Lois, and from the fragments of the story that Camilla and the Cerullos had tried to cover up for nearly 2 decades. And then, in a tense silence, Camilla's eyes filled with tears. Her voice choked as she finally admitted, she was not Joe's biological mother. Camilla said that when Brook Lynn gave birth to her son, Lois and Gloria Cerullo asked her to adopt the child. Camilla was on tour, unattached, and the condition of her adopting Gio was absolute secrecy in exchange for support and protection from the Cerullos. Brook Lynn was too young, too unprepared to be a mother, and her family was torn apart by all sorts of pressures. Everything was handled quietly, and from then on, Camilla and Lois thought they had the secret hidden for good. But Lulu's arrival shattered that balance. The new story was no longer about Joe's true identity, it was about trust, betrayal, and the choices that change a person's life. What was remarkable was that Camilla had not only confessed, but also kept physical evidence, the original birth certificate with Brook Lynn's name on it, San Francisco hospital records with Lois's faded signature, and a never-sent letter from Brook Lynn to the son she had been forced to leave behind. Lulu couldn't believe what she was hearing. She was shocked, not just by the truth, but by the fact that the whole story had been hidden for so long, even from the people she trusted the most. She realizes that if she doesn't find out, Gio may go through life never knowing who he really is. And now, Lulu has more than just a shocking story in her hands, it's the fate of many people. Camilla's coming forward and confirming everything has completely changed the game. One of the biggest changes Port Charles has ever seen is coming. Lulu now holds the key to unlocking a shocking truth, that Gio, a young man with questions about himself, is actually the biological son of Dante and Brook Lynn. This will not only put an end to Lulu's lingering doubts, but will also set off a series of emotional and challenging consequences. How will Gio react when he learns that his entire life has been a fabrication? How will Brook Lynn react when she is exposed as the woman who gave her child up for adoption and kept it a secret for years? Can Dante, still in the dark about the truth, accept that he missed out on fatherhood? And can Lois, who thought she was protecting everyone, live with the guilt of seeing her secrets come crashing down? Every character in this storyline will be caught in the whirlwind of consequences of this new shock, and Lulu is the one who started it all. Though her intention was to seek the truth for Joe's sake, her actions will spark countless conflicts, divisions, and confrontations. Meanwhile, the truth can no longer be forgotten. Port Charles is about to witness its biggest emotional earthquake in years. And what Lulu brings back from San Francisco could change everything, forever. Lois and Gloria are treading dangerous ground as they attempt to cover up the shocking truth surrounding Joe's true identity, a secret they've kept hidden for years with elaborate disguises and carefully crafted lies. This cover-up is no longer simply about protecting a child or keeping the peace in their family, but has become one of the most dangerous new adjustments, where the fear of being exposed guides their every move. Lois and Gloria are no longer acting out of love, but out of fear. And that fear is fueling a series of bad decisions. Lois's obsession stems not only from her guilt for helping to hide Brook Lynn and Dante's biological son, but also from the knowledge that, once this secret is exposed, her entire image and trust in her will crumble. Gloria is caught up in this too. She can't let her daughter be exposed as the mastermind behind the identity swapping of an innocent child. All in the name of protecting the family honor. Both are acting in a panic, trying to stay in control, but inadvertently pushing the truth closer to the brink of explosion. While Lois and Gloria try to justify, maneuver, and even distract Lulu, Lulu herself is being pulled deeper into a journey she was never prepared for. What started as a simple suspicion is now a crazy new journey, where every door Lulu opens leads to another layer of secrets, another betrayal. Another part of the past that someone tried to erase from Port Charles's memory. She's no longer just a person looking for answers, she's becoming a central character in a story she never thought she'd have to deal with. Lulu becomes increasingly drawn into the mystery surrounding Camilla, Gio, Brook Lynn, and Dante. Each time Lois denies or tries to deflect the story, Lulu feels more and more that something is wrong. She can't understand how someone like Lois, once strong and honest, would accept living in the shadow of such a big lie. And as her efforts to find the truth run into obstacles from those she thought were close to her, Lulu begins to feel alone in this fight. But she doesn't stop. The more she is thwarted, the more determined she becomes, because the ambiguity and cover-ups only make her more certain that something is very wrong. One of the most obvious new features of Lulu's journey is her inner transformation. Once a woman trying to piece her life together after a long period of coma and isolation, Lulu has become someone who is unafraid to revisit her past, and confront the forces that could hurt her. She is willing to uncover the truth, even if it means hurting those she once loved. She is no longer bound by emotion, but is guided by a new sense of justice, a sense that if she doesn't do this, no one else will. However, that very determination is also putting Lulu in danger. One of the new complications that is emerging is that Lois, in her efforts to keep things quiet, may resort to desperate measures, including drawing others into her plans. Or even trying to discredit Lulu before she can bring the truth to light. Lulu, though smart and tough, is increasingly isolated, and the threat of both mental and social attack is growing by the day. The battle between truth and lies has never been more intense. Lulu represents the light, the courage to look into the past, the courage to name mistakes. Lois and Gloria, though filled with love for their family, are slowly turning against reason because they are afraid to face the consequences. When this confrontation comes to a head, Port Charles will never be the same again. And the truth about Gio, about his identity, about his love, about the people who sacrificed everything to keep him, will finally be revealed. Even if someone falls along the way. Lulu is on a journey to reclaim the most important thing she has ever lost, Dante's love. After a long coma, awakening to a world that has changed forever, Lulu is forced to face the bitter reality that everything has moved on without her. But love does not fade with time. Lulu's heart has never forgotten Dante, and now, as everything seems to be unraveling again due to the secrets surrounding Gio, she feels the time has come to reclaim the heart of the man she loves. No longer merely emotional, Lulu now carries with her a stronger determination than ever, a quiet but calculated strategy, to re-enter Dante's life, not as the woman who was left behind, but as a woman reborn and ready to start over. One of the biggest changes shaping Lulu right now is her inner awakening. In the past, Lulu lived a lot for others, for her child, for Dante, for duty. But after going through a long coma, waking up to find that Dante has moved on, with Brook Lynn by his side, a life where she is no longer the center, Lulu no longer has a waiting mentality. She acts. She investigates the truth about Gio not only out of conscience or justice, but also because she feels that something very big is buried, a piece of memory, a truth. An invisible bond between Dante and an unsolved past. Along the way, Lulu gradually discovers each piece of the puzzle around Gio, from the fact that Camilla is only the nominal mother, to the signs that Brook Lynn once secretly gave birth in San Francisco. These evidences not only lead Lulu to a shocking secret but also bring her closer to Dante, not through emotions or empty words, but through actions, through truth. And the truth about Gio, if proven to be the biological son of Dante and Brook Lynn, will shake up everything, from Dante's relationship with Brook to his seemingly stable life. It's Lulu's dramatic transformation that's causing a new wave of change to spread across Port Charles. Her every move has meaning, no longer a weak skepticism, but a steady, step-by-step path that will pull Dante back to what they once had. But Lulu understands that love can't be based on the past. She must prove that the person she is now, stronger, tougher, sharper, is the right person to accompany Dante on his journey ahead. Meanwhile, Dante is also in the process of changing. Lulu's presence has left him deeply conflicted. He's tried to move on with Brook Lynn, trying to open up and rebuild his life. But Lulu's return, not only as Rocco's mother, but also as someone keeping a big secret about Gio, rekindles feelings he once buried. With each piece of evidence Lulu presents, with each conversation they share, Dante begins to doubt everything he thought was settled. He begins to question, is what he is living right now, or has he missed out on the most important thing in his life, Lulu? Gio, the boy at the center of this emotional storm, is also starting to feel the changes around him. He is no longer the young man who just wanted to pursue music and his passion. He begins to see that he is surrounded by unspoken fragments of his past, people hiding something greater. And if Lulu is the only one who is telling the truth, if she is the one who is trying to bring him closer to his true roots, then Gio will begin to see her as someone he can trust. And once that truth is revealed, if Gio is really Dante's child, the relationship between the three of them, Dante, Gio, and Lulu, will enter a completely new, unprecedented chapter. Brook Lynn, of course, is walking a very thin line. If the secret is exposed, she will not only face Dante's wrath, but also her own regret. Her relationship with Dante, already fractured, could collapse completely. And when it does, Lulu may be the only one left standing by him, because she fought not to win, but to expose the truth and protect love with honor. This story is no longer just about love. It is a chain of emotions, memories, responsibilities, and fates. Lulu is becoming the main character in the confrontation between truth and lies, between lost love and a reshaped future. One of the biggest changes Port Charles is about to witness is not just about who loves whom, but who has the strength to move past the pain and rebuild what was broken. And when all the layers are cracked, when Gio learns who he is, when Dante is caught between a silent betrayal and a woman who dares to seek the truth, love will have to be redefined. No longer as the vows of eternal love, but as what remains after all is swept away by the storm. And Lulu, still heartbroken, but no longer afraid, may be the only one strong enough to step out of the darkness and love again. Lulu is taking bold steps toward what she believes is right, exposing the truth, getting justice for Gio, and most importantly, winning back the love her heart has never let go of, Dante. But in her strength, Lulu is slipping into a bigger mistake than she could have ever imagined. She doesn't realize that every step she takes, despite her noble ideals, is inadvertently shattering the fragile things that those around her have worked so hard to preserve. And that is pushing Lulu into a dangerous vortex where love, trust, past, and present collide, creating a terrible storm of emotions that is about to explode in Port Charles. Dante, who was everything to Lulu, is no longer the man he once was. He has changed, not because he no longer loves her, but because he has to change to survive in Lulu's absence. He rebuilds his life, commits to Brook Lynn, and takes on a new role with Gio that he never expected. But Lulu's return, sudden, intense, demanding, leaves Dante reeling. Every time she appears, bringing files, truths, questions. Every time she forces him to confront his past and question his present, he feels himself slipping away from the stability he worked so hard to achieve. Dante cannot deny that Lulu is part of the best memories he has ever had. But her return is too quick, too intense, making him feel like he is being forced to choose, between the person he once loved deeply and the person he is currently accompanying, between the old him and the new him he is trying to become. And it is this confusion that is slowly making Dante fall into a state of depression, disorientation. He began to avoid talking to Lulu, deliberately keeping her at arm's length. Even trying to push aside the evidence she presented, not because he didn't believe it, but because he didn't want to believe it. Because the truth was too cruel and would tear apart the life he was clinging to. Meanwhile, Lois and Brook Lynn, who had lived with the fear of being exposed for years, now felt like their nightmare was coming true. They saw Lulu as a direct threat to all of them. Every time Lulu found another clue about Geo, every time she questioned Brook about her past in San Francisco, Brook Lynn lived in fear of losing her child, fear of Dante's hatred. Fear of her mother being exposed as the one behind every controversial exchange. Lois, who had believed she was doing everything to protect her family, now began to panic. She saw everything she had worked so hard to build crumbling down little by little, and it was Lulu who was pushing that wall down with unwavering hands. The anger began to set in. Lois lost her cool. Brook Lynn stopped trying to be nice. They were blunt in their criticism of Lulu, calling her selfish, self-centered, and tearing apart other families just to get Dante back. In their eyes, Lulu was no longer a hero seeking the truth, but an interloper in a family that was slowly coming to terms with itself, rekindling all the old wounds. And instead of being thanked for bringing light into the darkness, Lulu was blamed, shunned, pushed out of the picture where she was once the center. And Geo, the boy in the middle of this whirlwind, didn't know who to trust. Lulu said she was seeking the truth for him, for the right to know who she was. But Brook Lynn, who Geo had grown accustomed to seeing as a mother, was hurt. And Geo didn't want to hurt anyone. He feels trapped in a story that is too big, too complicated, and begins to doubt both one and the other. The story that was just an identity investigation is now becoming an emotional war, a tense psychological battle with the center being Lulu, the one who has been turned away by everyone. But what really makes things explode is when Lulu begins to realize, she herself is lost. She is no longer sure whether she is doing everything for Geo, or for Dante. She does not know if those drastic actions are out of a desire for justice, or a desire to be recognized, to be loved, to return to being the only one in Dante's life. The boundaries that were originally clear, now become blurred by pressure, hurt, and loneliness. Lulu, who seemed to be in control of everything, turns out to be the most hurt. The most lost in the whole storm of emotions. And when all the overlapping relationships are broken, between Dante and Brook, between Lulu and Lois, between Geo and the woman he still calls his mother, when trust is pushed to its limit, when the truth is too cruel to hear, Port Charles will witness an unprecedented emotional event. There is no longer right or wrong, only consequences. And Lulu, if she has indeed made a mistake, that mistake may rob her not only of love, but also of trust, of family. Of the part of herself she was most proud of. The truth is still being revealed. But the price to pay may be more painful than anything Lulu could have imagined. Sunny and Olivia are entering a new phase of their lives, no longer mere onlookers or observers trying to maintain the fragile peace within their family. Now, they are taking the initiative to protect the most sacred rights of their clan, their children, and the honor of the Corinthos and Falconary houses. What is happening in Port Charles has gone too far. And for Sunny and Olivia, patience is no longer an option. As Lulu continues to dig deeper into the past, uncovering secrets related to Geo and the fractured relationship between Dante, Brook Lynn, and Lois, they know it is time to act. Not just to keep the family stable, but to prevent a collapse that, if left unchecked, could take them all down. Sunny, with his extensive experience operating in both the underworld and the real world, knows that once secrets start to leak, the only thing left to do is damage control, not running after the wrongs. And now, with Dante, his own son, embroiled in a web of conflict, and Brook Lynn and Geo in the spotlight, Sunny can no longer remain neutral. Though he once liked Lulu and respected her intelligence, Sunny cannot allow her to continue to undermine the family tree. To him, honor, blood ties, and the clandestine alliances of the town cannot be threatened, not even by the truth. Olivia, with her mother's heart and innate political acumen, knows that what Lulu is doing may bring justice, but it could also destroy the lives of a generation. She feels a responsibility not only to Dante, but also to Geo, the child who may be most hurt by the chaotic exposure of his identity and family. Together with Sunny, Olivia begins to form a strategy, not simply to stop Lulu, but to rebuild what is being torn apart. They are creating an invisible circle of protection around the people they love, one that Lulu and no one else can break. Meanwhile, Laura and Lucky, two people who were once the moral pillars of the town, are caught in a major adjustment. They once trusted Lulu, encouraged her to follow the truth. But as they see what is happening, the rift in their relationships, the split in their families, the mounting opposition, they begin to wonder if Lulu is letting her emotions and personal motives get the better of her. Lucky, who once supported Lulu unconditionally, is now troubled. He sees Lulu isolated, pushed away from the very people she was meant to protect, and it makes him worry. Is she being consumed by the war she started? Laura, with her motherly instincts and her mayor's political experience, knows that the truth can be brutal, but sometimes it doesn't have to be told in a world that's already hurting. She sees Lulu becoming a different person, fierce, reckless, and unconcerned about the consequences. And with Sunny and Olivia preparing to strike back, Laura begins to fear that her daughter is being pushed to the brink, not just emotionally, but physically and politically. Because when power intervenes, when stronger forces begin to protect their interests, those seeking the truth can be the first to be eliminated. Lulu, meanwhile, is oblivious to the changing tides. She still believes she's doing the right thing, that if she just keeps moving forward, the truth will protect her. But she doesn't realize that she's becoming more alone than ever. Those who once supported her are now turning against her, those who once loved her are now doubting her, and those who were silent are now taking action, to defend what they believe is right. No matter the cost. The stakes for Lulu are far greater than criticism or anger. The stakes are higher for her, the honor, and the survival of a powerful family. And with Sunny and Olivia now locked in the fray, things will no longer be a simple game of personal relationships. This will become a battle between justice and power, between love and politics, between truth and what should be buried. And Lulu, caught in the middle of the maelstrom, will face a life or death choice. Will she continue to push forward alone? Or will she stop and let love survive, even if the truth remains buried forever? Port Charles has never been more tense. And with every move Lulu makes, Sunny and Olivia are following her every move. The storm is coming, and this time, no one will come out of it unscathed.